Episode 3. I didn't respond, thinking that he'd get the hint and go away. But he didn't. Instead, he was waving the bartender to come over. "1 gin and tonic please for the lady," he said as he put down some money on the counter. The bartender nodded and started on the drink. "It might help," he said to me simply. He wasn't waiting around for a response. He gave me one last smirk before turning to walk away. I thought I should feel relieved that he was going away. But weirdly enough, I felt like I didn't want him to leave. The bartender put a tall glass in front of me, filled with ice, sliced lime, and a clear liquid inside. I didn't know what got into me, but I suddenly felt the urge to speak out. "Hey, wait up," I said to the guy. He stopped his tracks and turned around, waiting for me to continue. I grabbed the drink and downed it all at once. The alcohol burned my throat, but I didn't care. The burn was better than whatever it was I was feeling. He looked at me with eyes wide open as I slammed the empty glass back on the bar. "You want to get out of here?" I said again. "Where to?" he asked. "With you? Anywhere." My heart was broken, and my mind was blank. All I had now was my body and the burning inside my chest. I strode closer to him as he stood his ground. I stopped when I was only an arm's length away from him. I looked at him, and he looked back at me. He was studying my face as I bit my bottom lip and tilted my head to the side, waiting for his response. There was a moment of silence between the two of us. And all of a sudden, a wild smirk curved as he moved forward and his hands reached for my face. He tilted my chin up as he leaned down, and his lips landed roughly on mine. The impact made the fire in my chest burn greater. I locked my arms around his neck and pulled him closer. He kissed me with more urgency as his large hand gripped my neck, and I kissed him back. His delicious masculine scent enveloped my nose, and I felt even more intoxicated. His lips devoured mine, and he tasted like alcohol and mint. He was absolutely a great kisser. He knew exactly just how much to give for me to want more. My breath hitched when I felt his tongue grazing my lips, looking for a way in. I complied and opened my mouth slightly. He took his chance and his tongue thrust right in. Our tongues met and they started dancing passionately, causing me to whimper. I gripped his shirt tighter as his hands traveled down my back and stopped at my butt. He grabbed my backside with such fervor, pushing my front side hard against his pants. He groaned lowly as used my upper thigh to stroke his hardening groin area. Shoot! I could feel myself getting so wet. And suddenly, he pulled away, breaking off the kiss. My eyes shot open in shock, and I was panting breathlessly. He gritted his teeth as his deep brown eyes bore into mine. Slowly, he leaned forward until his mouth touched my left ear, and he whispered with raspy voice against my skin. "Come with me." Emma's POV. I instinctively nodded my head. He grinned brightly at my response. Without giving me a chance to change my mind, he pulled my hand forcefully, and we were headed out the back door in no time. "Shit," he muttered suddenly. "What's wrong?" I asked as we stepped into a dark alley. "I can't wait anymore," he said in between breaths. He narrowed his eyes at me like a hawk, stalking its prey. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. I was still struggling to slow my breathing, catching my breath. He stalked closer to me, and I was taking small steps back until I hit myself back against the wall. He took both my hands and placed them above my head, pinning me against the red brick. He looked down at me with those dark eyes and said, "I have to have you now." I swallowed hard at his words. My head was spinning. I couldn't tell left from right anymore. All I knew was that my body was heating up and there was this clenching feeling in my lower stomach, aching to be released. "Okay," I breathed finally. He didn't waste his time. He closed the distance between us as his lips landed on mine once again. He kissed me possessively and so passionately. No one ever kissed me this like before, not even Zach. So I kissed him back wantonly, biting on his lower lip, causing him to growl. Without breaking the kiss, he released my hands, gripped my legs, and he linked them to his waist one by one. He propped me up so that all my weight was on him. There was such power in every move he made. My hands curled to grip his shoulders, feeling his strong, hard body under the thin fabric. His hand traveled from my thigh to the hem of my dress. He slid his thumb underneath the fabric as his hand continued moving up. The feeling of his fingers touching my bare skin lit me on fire. His thumb stopped when it reached the band of my panties. My heart had absolutely given up when I felt his fingers cupping my wet area through the laced fabric. I let out a slow moan in response, completely involuntarily. "Baby girl, you're so wet," he murmured to my ears. "Baby girl?" Somehow that made me drip even more. His lips then trailed the bottom of my ear, down my cheek, and it landed snugly on my neck. He planted soft, wet kisses on the crook of my neck, and my head rolled back in response, giving him more access. It was a feeling I had never felt before. His body was warm against my pounding chest. His kisses sent tingles up and down my spine. And before I could process it all, he stuck a finger over my panties, causing me to gasp. He started stroking my clitoris finger, and I was whimpering against his touch. My back arched up, so I was exposing more of myself to him. All the while, he hadn't stopped kissing and sucking on my neck. I was moaning unintelligible words at this point. "You all right there?" He chuckled lowly, finding my actions amusing. Just keep going," I mumbled out. "Yes, ma'am." With that, he pushed his finger deep inside me, and I almost couldn't breathe. His thumb stroked my clit as the other finger circled my opening, pulling out and pushing back in ever so slowly. It felt so damn good. Zach had tried to finger me once before. It felt weird and awkward. I didn't like it, so we stopped. But this was different. This guy knew exactly what he was doing and how to control my body. And before long, he slid another finger in, and I was losing my vision. He started thrusting into me with his two fingers, and I was feeling the bittersweet pain. "Fuck, you're so tight," he said through gritted teeth. I didn't know what he meant by that. Wasn't that supposed to be a good thing? My body was tensing up, and he felt it too. He started moving his fingers slower and gentler. Full story is available on shelfofnovels.com. Click the link in the comment section to get it free.